Eragon was speechless. Book 1, Eragon. Chapter 49, The Horns of Delimma. Welcome to Eragon and Back Again, a podcast where we explore Christopher Paullini's inheritance cycle chapter by chapter. I'm Darien Smart.
And I'm Lucy Hart.
And let's just say we're going to get mad at Eragon. Just put that on the table right out the gate, y'all.
The last chapter was like, oh my god, Eragon. I feel less angry with Eragon about this chapter, but last chapter was very, very significant.
You just reread it.
I did. Yep. I did just reread it.
Peek behind the curtain, dear listeners. It has been
a hot minute.
A hot minute since we recorded. We usually record in big bunches, and we let the episodes release, and then we're like,
Very good.
You know, when I started with being like, we're going to yell at Eragon, I almost said, don't worry, listeners. As if, I do wonder to this point, if those who've been listening to the podcast for a while, if they are reading the books along with us.
Yeah.
Or if they're, because sometimes, because I listen to a lot of Percy Jackson podcasts where they're talking about each chapter, and so I know what's coming up, and I think, oh man, I can't wait for Erica and Carter to feel XYZ about this thing. Yeah. Or I can't wait. So I do wonder if any of our listeners have gotten to the point where they feel like, Darien and Lucy are going to be so mad at Eragon in this chapter. Yeah, they're going to be pissed.
Yeah. Fair.
Weigh
fair enough.
Curtis Moore, you specifically. Let us know. But everyone else, weigh in. But before we get into dunking on a 15-year-old.
There we go.
No, was he 16?
No, he's 15.
No.
Did he have a birthday?
I think he had a birthday and he didn't mention it to Murtagh. We talked to this
I
whole thing.
I think so, yeah. I think he's 16. 15,
right, we're
16.
Totally allowed to dunk on a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
Luce,
yes.
Do you have any spark of inspiration?
I do.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to talk about why you were late today?
What? Oh, well, that was, yes. I was late today because I was writing.
Yay!
But I got my writing spark back.
Yes.
But also I'll talk about my spark of inspiration, and then I guess I'll talk about my geode very quickly. Mm-hmm. My spark of inspiration is actually Darien.
Me?
Yes, because on Darien's Instagram, she has this thing where she's been posting writing snippets or something. Yeah. And that really inspired me. I'm be like, ooh, if I can do that, because I usually use my Instagram, and I've talked about this before, where I post books I'm reading or puzzles I've done. And I'm like, ooh, if I could do something to do that with writing, I think that would be really inspiring for me. Mm-hmm. So I got that. So I might do that. So this might be my first post about that.
Lucy, and if you want to use my Canva to make something pretty, you absolutely can. Aww. And then I will give you the login so you can just log in and update it with the updated word count. 'Cause that's what I do. I made one graphic that I like that I feel like captures sort of the vibe, but not quite, especially as you go on in a draft. It's starting to morph a little bit in what I want. And I recently realized something about one of my characters that I'm like, okay, I'm actually going to go back and rewrite this whole underscoring arc thing because I have gotten to a point where I no longer feel like I want to explore that in a narrative.
Fair enough.
I'll dive into that. But Lucy, we're also going to share your geode a little bit.
Yes, my geode was, this morning I was late for recording because, or I guess this afternoon, because our D&D group has its final battle today. Or it might be today and tomorrow. It might be today and this coming up Wednesday, but not sure how it's going to go today. Mm-hmm. We want a longer D&D session today, so that way we can actually get to the meat of it. Yeah. And I was really inspired to write my character Charity or Rit's perspective of what she is thinking or preparing going into the battle. So it was stuck in my head for a really long time. So I'm like, I'm going to write this really quick. And then as I was writing it, I finished it and I looked down and I'm like, I'm very late, and had to rush.
That was funny. I was starting to be like, oh, Luce is usually here early. I should probably text her and make sure, we're still on for today.
Yep.
And, but I was also trying to desperately add my TSA pre-check number to a flight ticket my grandma bought, and I just could not figure out how to do that. So I was like, well, it gives me a little bit more time to get this sorted.
Yeah. But, those are mine.
All right, Lucy.
How about you, Darien?
Since the last recording, I have engaged with quite a number of really awesome things that I could call my spark of inspiration. Several books that I really, really enjoyed. Yeah. Social interactions that I found very pleasant.
Yeah.
I got to go to TJ Klune's book tour for Somewhere Beyond the Sea. Yeah. Just kicked off. The first stop was literally in Boise at the Egyptian Theater. And so I got to go to that. And that will definitely be one that I talk about in a future episode. Yeah. Probably in the next one, because it was very inspiring. And there was something he said in it that I feel like you and I both can really latch onto.
Yeah.
And I'm not even going to tell you it, Luce. I'm going to wait until we're recording it because I feel like that would be very interesting. And so much so that in fact, the Clune one was genuinely inspiring, and I wanted to go home and write that night and work on a draft. But I work very early shifts, and I need to go to bed. And if I don't get enough sleep, I start to feel stressed and feel sick. So all those are great, but there was one thing that truly, truly counts as a spark of inspiration, because it did result in me going home and adding 6,000 words to my draft that night. And Lucy's giggling because she knows exactly what it is.
Yep.
She knows, literally, Lucy knows exactly. And I would not be getting into the nitty-gritty so much. It's not something I feel super comfortable sharing here.
Yeah.
And I know, dear listeners, it's like, why would you hint at it? And I'm like, sorry, gang, this story isn't necessarily for you. But I will give you the beat of just the vagueness of my spark of inspiration is that petty vengeance to be better than someone who's wronged you.
Yep. I love that.
Yeah, and that's all I feel like sharing. That's not what this kind of podcast is about, so I don't need more of that. But maybe it's running into someone who your last social interaction with left you so crushed and devastated that you had to rebuild your sense of self. And then you see them and realize that not only do they have no power over you anymore, but that you can and will be so much more successful than them in everything you do in life.
Yep.
So 6,000 words in one night,
Hell
gang.
yeah.
I wrote one chapter and then I posted about it on Insta. And then I turned around and was like, I could knock another one out tonight.
There you go.
And to be fair, it was a chunk of that chapter was actually the very, very first thing I wrote for this draft.
Yeah.
It was the first scene I'd ever... So I didn't, like, handwrite everything.
Yeah.
But it was still over 6,000
It was still,
words.
yeah.
So,
no, that's good.
Thank
And that's,
you.
like, also just, like, the little tailgating on that is, like, yeah, I choose joy. I choose better.
Mhm.
Just hinting back to my tattoo that I just recently finished is I'm choosing joy. I'm choosing to move past that. I'm choosing to be better.
Yeah.
And screw what anyone else thinks. So.
And I think that just latched onto why I want You're Going to Be Amazing.
Yeah.
Which, dear listener, if you know, it's also from the Adventure Zone that Lucy's piece is from. Because for me, it's like never forgetting my own potential.
Yep.
Never
absolutely.
forgetting my own worth, never forgetting my own ability, and
Absolutely.
knowing what I am capable of.
Yep.
So yeah, I also want to share a little bit of a geode.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just a little bit. So one of the things I wrote that I'm really a paragraph that I wrote that I'm proud of.
Yeah.
From what I just worked on, and it out of context will probably be super baffling. But I just want to share. So this is my geode. Returning Vasily to his village would require reversing a transcontinental transportation spell and pairing it with a hyper-Pacific relocation enchantment to slip past a centuries-old ward without dismantling the boundary entirely. Not impossible, but so close it could pop over and ask impossible to borrow a cup of sugar.
I love that.
Thank you. I've been reading a lot of Terry Pratchett for the first time. So I'm giving myself permission to be more whimsical in my prose and seeing what that produces.
That's very good. I love that.
Thank you. And now, shall we yell at this 16-year-old for being a bad friend?
Yeah. Yeah.
The Horns of a Delimma. The truth is out. Murtagh is the son of Morzan, first of the Forsworn, favorite of Galbatorix, killed by Brom. Eragon and Saphira become instantly suspicious of Murtagh's motives and are largely unswayed by his pleas and explanations, but the Urgles are bearing down on them, and the trio continues on. With their backs to the waterfall, Saphira does her best sea monster impression to keep the enemy at bay. Eventually, they realize they must go through the falls itself. Eragon nearly drowns, but is saved by a man he quickly recognizes as a dwarf. While their possible rescuers drive the Urgles back, one of them also has a dagger to Murtagh's throat. He warns Eragon against using magic, and then leads them deeper into the caves behind the falls.
Yep.
They were caves, right?
Yeah, it was like a tunnel, but like caves is
cool. Caves, caverns, tunnel.
Yeah,
Okay.
stood before a tunnel.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, so shorter chapter, but also I have a feeling we're just going to unpack a lot of the beginning of the chapter.
Yeah, because I think that was one of my jumping fucking right in is I think one of my biggest like my dude was how quickly, after traveling with Murtagh for months, not months, for weeks at least, and maybe a month.
Maybe. Here's the thing. Time doesn't make
sense.
Time
is weird.
I think months.
I think months too. It was a while. It's been a while. They've grown to know each other fairly well. Like, and Eragon's still like kind of shooken up by Murtagh, like cutting off that guy's head.
It's that thing though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like he was like shook up about that. But then he goes
looking for a reason not to trust Murtagh anymore.
Yeah, and it was just like he just switched so fast. Both Saphira
That's
and
what it
Eragon.
Is for me. It's that Saphira also is just like, I don't trust him. I don't want you alone with
and
him.
I mean, like, Murtagh rode on Saphira.
Yeah.
And she no, and then like that's one of my biggest things is that she like before it was like, oh, in the last chapter when they were like running, she went to the stream so she would have more, like, she would keep up with them better because she's not crashing through trees and stuff. But then and Eragon tells her like, oh, you know, if you'd you can walk unhindered in the riverbed, he said, as she was forced to smash through a dense web of branches. I'll not leave you with him. Really?
That's what it is, right?
You did though. You have been.
You have so many times, and that's the thing. Eragon, we spent the last couple episodes really talking about how Eragon is someone who really sees things in black and white. Like, his morality at this moment doesn't leave things to be like uncertain or shades of gray. Yeah. There is the right thing and the wrong thing. There's no in between. So for Eragon to learn that Murtagh's father was this great villain, and him to be like, I don't know if I trust you anymore, especially after these things he's already been feeling, like, that sucks.
Yeah.
But is like, I can see why Eragon is like that. For Saphira to feel the exact same way is, I think it is, we've talked a lot about how Saphira is usually like our sort of moral compass. Yeah. Where she is more of an innately, like when she talked about, she's a little bit more like with the slavers, when she was like, well, those men suck and I'd love to kill him anyway. And yeah, what Murtagh did felt like pretty abrupt, but also like, what else was he supposed to do, Eragon? Or when we talked about how she was like, Eragon, you should have killed the Urgles. Like, right? Like, she is always the character who I feel like her perspective is meant for the reader to understand as like whatever would be morally correct.
Absolutely.
So for her to be suspicious of Murtagh immediately, it feels like it is meant to communicate to the readers that yes, we are meant now to be suspicious. Of Murtagh.
Absolutely.
And I think that leads to a theme that spoiler-free podcast that Paolini explores through the rest of the series. Yeah. This idea of inheritance.
I agree.
And one of our listeners had either sent us an email or left a comment regarding inheritance. And I'm so sorry. I cannot remember who that was now. And that was something we didn't read on the podcast because the specific details around it were very spoilerful. Yeah. Which, like, that's fine. You can send us spoilers. Don't send us Murtagh spoiler stuff because I haven't read that one yet.
Yeah, Darien hasn't read it.
But everything else, like, it's totally, that's fine if you want to share that with us. Like, totally cool. We probably won't share it on the podcast, but they talked about the idea of inheritance and how that is a thing that is explored through the rest of the series. And I don't feel like that is a spoiler to address because it is the Inheritance series, the Inheritance Chronicles. Yep. So... And I think this is also the first time someone mentions inheritance is Murtagh in this. I highlighted it.
Yep.
When Saphira and Eragon are both like, holy shit. And Saphira literally comes barging out
just
and like
and her tail is posed
fangs bared, tail raised threateningly.
Yep.
Be ready for anything, she warned. He may be able to use magic. And Eragon asks, like, you are his heir? And it's like, that's a word.
Yeah.
Like, that isn't just like, you're his son, you're his heir. Is like, oh, you are entitled to his legacy, is what an heir means. And Murtagh is distraught. Like, our boy is distraught.
Yeah, he is.
And do you want to...
Well, yeah, because I mean, like, even, like, just, like, I know we talked about this in, last week's episode or whenever that episode 2 weeks ago.
Last episode.
Last episode, thank you. He goes, like, finally Murtagh turned to Eragon. His breathing was hard and fast, like that of a cornered wolf. He paused, then said with a tortured voice, "You have a right to know. I am the son of Morzan, first and last of the Forsworn." So, like, even then, it's like he's tortured about it. And then he goes on to be like, "I didn't choose this," cried Murtagh, anguish twisting his face. He ripped at his clothes with a desperate air, tearing off his tunic and shirt to bare his torso. "Look," he pleaded, and turned his back to Eragon. And there is a very nasty scar from shoulder to hip, right?
Yeah, right shoulder to left hip. A testament to some terrible agony.
Yep, and then... "I was only 3 when I got it. During one of his many drunken rages, Morzan threw his sword at me as I ran by. My back was laid open by the very sword you now carry, the only thing I expected to receive as inheritance, until Brahm stole it from my father's corpse. I was lucky, I suppose. There was a healer nearby who kept me from dying. You must understand, I don't love the Empire or the King. I have no allegiance to them, nor do I mean you harm." And that is the most impactful for me, because it was like in the moment, and it could be like, there's a lot to say. I'm gonna do a whole thing on this, but in this moment, it is almost as though Saphira and Eragon have, like, conveniently, in like quote unquote, have forgotten everything that has happened between them and Murtagh until this point.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, he didn't rescue Eragon from Gilead? I think it was Gilead. He didn't rescue Eragon from a prison. He didn't, like...
The Razak.
He didn't
literally save their lives from the Razak.
Save their lives from... Didn't save Eragon's life several times.
Mend him back to health.
Yeah, mend him back to health.
Hunted for him when he couldn't hunt for himself.
Absolutely. Like, did all these things to help Eragon. And it's also like, it could be like, Saphira and Eragon, like, you know, speaking from the other side, they have been hunted until this point. And so having somebody who was kind to them only to turn around and stab them in the back is probably not so far out, I think. But it's still like, I'm like, they were so quick to just be like, oh, he's bad, he's evil, like, fuck everything that he did before this. Like, absolutely
literally
not.
Eragon's like, oh.
Yeah, as they're running, the whole Q&A that they go through. And I think, like, I'm like, yeah, and I feel like when I was reading, they're all questions that I had, and also answers that I also had. Like, I'm like, why is he doing this? Well, why would Murtagh do these things if, like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, Eragon, they do hear the Urgel's horn, and he does say, "Come and run with me." And he like,
and I like that.
Yes, because he doesn't just start running and abandon. He's like, run with. We need to keep moving, so keep running with me.
Yep, and I also think that it's interesting because I always feel like there's these situations where Eragon slips in and out of character, and I think a lot of it is to do with creating plot and tension.
Interesting.
But I do think that it has something to do with Paolini writing this at 15, and it's like,
wonder.
And it kind of, I feel like that's the catch, because I feel like when I was younger reading this, I was like, holy shit, like I was on Eragon's side fully, completely. Now I've had several thousand books under my belt and a lot more writing experience. I can look at this and go, I think this maybe not like poor writing, but it was just not experienced writing and how this was portrayed.
Yeah.
Because Eragon, prior to this, being like, oh my god, you're the son of Morzan, you're awful, like, oh my god.
Yeah,
and then
even when Saphira says, "I won't leave you," he's like, he was grateful for her protection.
But I do think what is in Eragon's personality and his character, as what we have known in this book so far, is the line, "Come run with me."
Yes.
That is in character.
And I think him that's what makes it weird, right? Like you said, going in and out of character. Like him being like shocked, like, wait, hold on. Wait, what?
Yeah.
Wait, your dad is who? Which means you're from the Empire. You lived with the...
Yeah.
And I think him being like, okay, how do I know you're not lying? Like, how do I know you aren't trying to lead the Urgels to the Varden? Like,
yeah,
those
are good
questions. Those are valid.
Absolutely.
Because it is finding out... It's weird because I think they're valid because it indicates that Murtagh. Listen, okay, I'm gonna do it now. Okay, I'm doing my Mordred rant now. Listen, speaking of the 15-year-old writing the books,
yeah,
it's fucking Murtagh and Morzan's name are just meant to sound like Mordred, all right? Because he's nerdy ass kid who likes Arthurian stuff. You know, Mordred is the biggest villain of all time, and so that's why it's Morzan. And then you have Murtagh. You've got those hard MR sounds, and I just have been waiting for books since Morzan was first mentioned to go off on this. Like, I get it. It's Mordred. I don't care.
We get it. Yeah.
Yes, the traitor. Yes, the villain. It's fine. It's not a bad thing to do. Yeah. But it's a thing that I'm just like,
You're like,
come on,
I need to get it out of my system.
I need to get it out of my system. But it's like, okay, it's not just your dad was this specific person.
Yeah.
It's like, you clearly grew up in the heart of the Empire.
Absolutely.
You're very close. Like, this explains a lot. Like, you have a lot to gain, probably. And so that's what is weird about it, is that it is totally understandable for Eragon to be like, oh, hey, I did. Like, if in Star Wars, look, we're back at Star Wars, but now I'm going to talk about the sequel trilogy, guys. Yeah. What a twist. If, let's say, no one knew that Finn was a stormtrooper. Yeah. Let's say Rey didn't know that. Let's say they get into the Rebels. Yeah. And they're doing the things with the Resistance, because it's the sequel trilogy, not the Rebels, the Resistance. Yeah. And then they find out Finn is a stormtrooper. And everyone's like, whoa, hold the phone. You're a stormtrooper? Yeah. You're straight from the First Order. Like that. Even though Finn has, to this point, has been totally, and of course Rey would be like, I trust him, he's my friend. Yeah. This is me rewriting. Let me rewrite Star Wars. Let me and everyone else on the internet rewrite Star Wars. Actually, cards on the table, y'all, and I'm sure this will make people mad. I really like Last Jedi. That's my favorite one. Like, I really like Last Jedi. But listen, we can all agree Rise of Skywalker is trash. So let us join together. Let us join together. It would be like that. And it'd be like, totally be like, oh, shoot. Yeah, like that would be concerning, because you do have a lot of information. It means it's like a higher influence over you. Like, you do pose a threat. It would be very easy for you to put us at risk because of this very big factor. Yeah. But it's not about that. Mm-hmm. It's not about the fact that he grew up in the Empire, that he was close to Galbatorix. It's all about his dad was this one person. Yeah. And, like, maybe it is supposed to be, like, an inclination of, like, broader than that, but that's never what Eragon thinks. He only thinks about how he's the son of Morzan, and that is suddenly the thing that makes Murtagh a threat. Yeah. And I was thinking, like, kind of going back to what we were talking about, the inheritance thing, I think that's fucking huge. Because... So I'm going to go off on a small tangent, hopefully. So back in high school, we were in history class, I don't remember, and we were talking about, like, what is different between, like we were talking about, like, getting jobs or something like this, and I mentioned, I'm like, well, one of the big things, this is, like, the most I ever talked in front of the whole class, which I was, like, surprised at my own cunning, because this was back when I was, like, please don't call on me, super shy. If somebody said my name, I'd go red from neck to top of my head. And I was just saying that how if we were still kind of operating in the same sense of like back when, you know, the country was still being, like, what's the correct term? Back when, like, people were, there were no cars and horses. Oh, industrialized. And yeah, just back when we didn't have tech and everything, and people would follow their parents in work. That's what they did. If their father was a printer, they'd be a printer. If their father was a shoemaker, they would be a shoemaker. Because it was very easy to learn that trade from absolutely your parent. And so, like, that's kind of what I was saying. I was like, my dad as a screen printer way back in the day, I'm like, I'm a woman, so it probably wouldn't go that way, but, like, technically I would be trained to be a screen printer, to take over my father's shop, to take over his father's shop, to take et cetera, yeah. So I feel like that is also probably a really big theme in here, is like the idea of, like, Eragon and his cousin were prepped to take over his uncle's farm. Yeah, and to be a farmer. Yeah. And so, like, I don't think it's too far that where Eragon's brain is at is in that mindset. Murtagh was going to take over his father's work because that's just how it works. Yeah. And in that case, bravo Paolini for just, like, nailing that world building. I think that's, yeah. I think that's because I'm like, yeah, no, that's really good. Yeah. And I think that's exactly what it is. Like, especially with, like, when I said, like, Saphira being the one to be like, oh, right, his dad being this bad person makes Murtagh inherently untrustworthy. Yes. Demonstrates that is a fact about the world. Just like we talked about with the elves. Yep, absolutely. Oh, she is valuable because she is an elf. That is a fact about this the world. Yep. And so, and then the concept of inheritance. Like, we will be playing with the idea of, like, what is the legacy these characters are destined to step into? Yep. What does that represent for them? Yep. And I think there is very interesting things to be said about that. And I will save my opinion on them until we actually start to get to those things, because they play up and down throughout the series in big and small ways. But absolutely. I imagine at the end when we get to inheritance and wrap it up, I think that's when we'll have like the full conversation about how we should have like a post
conversation, like the very last episode. You might, if you want to cut this out, but if like we finish all the books of the book, and then once the last chapter, we'll have another episode talking about everything.
I mean, we definitely do it. Hey, ask like questions about
Q&A. That'd be cool.
That'd be cute. We could do it in between books too.
Yep. Like, I think that'd be a good idea.
As we get to the end, maybe we're like, hey, anything you want us to talk about? All of the Eragon book.
Yeah. But and just the Eragon.
Don't send that to me yet, dear listeners.
Yeah. We got a ways.
We got a ways. So I think we've milked that cow pretty well.
I will. One of the things I do want to add too is this also adds like when Eragon took the sword from Brom. Mm-hmm. I don't think he knew when he first got this. When Brom gave him the sword the first time, he didn't know what it was. He only knew what it was when he met Murtagh, who said, "That's Morzan's sword."
Yes, and he just knew the sword's name, but he never knew whose it was.
Yes, and then I think Eragon was hit by like the bloody path that sword had cut, basically.
Yeah,
and it's like this is another victim. Like Eragon is faced with a victim of the sword,
and we see
and how it's
why Murtagh was so angry when he
saw it.
Yeah,
yep, absolutely.
This thing was used to almost kill him when he was a toddler.
3. He was 3.
It probably was not the only time he was made to fear harm from this weapon.
Absolutely, and I also think like it also adds to
a fucking sword. It's a sword. They're big. God, Morzan's a fucking asshole.
Yeah, he's a really
not just a monster, but just like
a
big goddamn sword
at a fucking 3-year-old. You're lucky you didn't cut off his head.
He probably was trying to. Honestly, I bet he hated him.
But I also think that it also adds to Murtagh's plight of being like, this is what this man did to me. You really think that I
want to be like him?
Any part of that?
Yeah.
Like, holy shit. Like, yeah, and it just, Murtagh.
It's interesting. We also, okay. That puts us in an interesting timeline because Murtagh was 3 when he was wounded like that.
Yep.
Brom came to Carvajal sometime. How old Eragon was? Does he remember?
I don't think Eragon was born when Brom came to the valley.
I think he was.
Yes, I do. Yes, Brom came into the valley after Eragon was born, but I don't remember how.
Yeah, so
long.
But it's been. Yeah, that's. I'm trying to get it to. But we know Murtagh is a few years older than Eragon.
Yes,
and we know Brom killed Morzan when he successfully stole the egg.
Yep.
So Morzan's been dead for, if we assume,
under 2 decades. Like 15 years,
maybe 15, 14 years.
Yeah.
And Murtagh still lives in absolute terror of the memory of this man and that sword.
And he was traveling alone, completely alone, and that also adds like what's going on.
Because it also shows like, okay, because I'm trying to piece that together. If Morzan's been dead for that long, but Murtagh was still being raised in the Empire, still had that person training. Yeah. He still has all these skills, all these skills
that he would have learned.
And he didn't learn them from his father very clearly. So there are a lot of reasons it's like, yes, Murtagh very likely like legit maybe grew up in Revergal, the castle. What it's called? Not Gil.
It's do I have a map? Do we have a map?
Map.
I have a map.
It's a map. Map time.
Urobane.
Yeah, he probably grew up in Urobane. And that's very interesting. So, okay, we're done milking that cow. Yeah. That's all we can do with that. I am bummed out because, like you said, I feel like they just completely forget everything that Murtagh did for him. And even when he's reminding him, it's like, why wouldn't I have saved you from the rods? Like, why would I have freed you from like prison? Why would I still be here myself if I was leading them? Like, all these facts, like, Saphira and Eragon don't care.
Yeah, at this point, they're
not
really
swayed by this.
Nope.
They just have to keep running because.
Yep.
And finally, I love Eragon's like grasping at straws. Maybe you're an assassin. Maybe. You can't really know, can you?
And then I do like Saphira, Eragon asked simply. Her tail switched over his head. If he wanted to harm you, he could have done it long ago. And that makes me mad. Yeah. Because it's like, girl, like a couple of lines, a couple of paragraphs dialogue before you said, I'll not leave you with him. And I do think So this is my, and then we said we're done milking the cow, but we're going back into it.
There's more milking the cow
because I do want to talk about Saphira a little bit. In that, I do think her knee-jerk reaction is protect Eragon.
Yes.
Like she is.
This is a threat. Protect Eragon.
She. I don't know. I don't think she's overprotective, but she is like very.
She's protective.
She's very protective of him. She's not overprotective in like you can't go anywhere, you can't do anything.
But if it's like I feel like as you and I are protective of each other.
Absolutely.
Like if we were with each other and perceived a threat to the other, we would be there.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So I think like that's her knee-jerk reaction is to protect her. But I think like, and then as they're talking like this, and as Murtagh is explaining, like Eragon's asking these questions and Murtagh is answering them, I do think Saphira's like protect is kind of easing a bit.
She's maybe realizing.
She's like, actually, wait, hold on. Like,
if he was gonna hurt Eragon, he would have so
done
many
it.
opportunities to do that
and
by
it's
now.
like this, and like logic is catching up with her first reaction of protect my rider at all cost.
Yes.
So I do think that is true. And I do like Eragon's next thing where he's like, I want you to watch Murtagh closely when we get to the Varden. He may do something foolish, and I don't want him killed by accident. And Saphira is willing to watch him. She's like, I'll do my best. Mm-hmm. And so I do think they're shocked, and their first reaction is, bad guy. But then logic is now catching up. And they're also in a very high tense situation.
Yeah.
And so I do think logic is now catching up with them. And then I was also going to add, like, even with all this uncertainty, Saphira still protects both of them, not just Eragon.
Yeah.
So I there is that. And I do think, like, even with those doubts, Saphira is like, I'm not going to let him die. Like, it's not something I'm going to allow to do. And that really speaks a lot to her character too.
Yeah. I think it is reasonable, and I think it gives us, but I think more than anything else, the fact that their gut reaction is instantly, he's a threat, he's dangerous, we can't trust him, I won't leave you alone with him, indicates a lot more about what this world believes about like being an heir, legacy, and inheritance.
Yep, I agree.
Then maybe even necessarily what it means about Eragon and Saphira. Maybe, like you said, maybe it doesn't mean anything about these characters. It's just meant to communicate what we're supposed to understand about this world. Yep. That it's so much more important than who they are as individuals.
Yep, and it could be like, you just mentioned that, and then this brought a thought to my head. It also might be like, Saphira and Eragon are the first riders since Morzan, well, excluding the freaking king, but it's also like their duty is to kill bad guys, and now all of a sudden they're like, oh shit, the person we've been traveling with is a son of the Forsworn,
one of the biggest bad guys,
one of the biggest bad guys of the the bad people that we are supposed to protect Allegasia from.
It is
and so like
it's Darth Vader.
Yeah,
Morzan was essentially Darth Vader to Galbatorix's Emperor Palpatine.
Yes. And so it's like...
okay, but then it would have been as if Han and Leia... Yes, I know Leia and Luke are twins, but, like, they weren't initially, so bear with me. It would be like if they found out, which they wouldn't have because then Han was taken away in Carbonite, but, like, if Luke had gone and been like, Darth Vader is my father, and they were like, what? No, that can't be. We won't hang out with you anymore. But that's not how the dynamic works. Yeah. It would be like if Han found out that he was Darth Vader's son. That's more what it would have been like. Yeah. And actually, I can totally see Luke and Leia both going like, what?
Yeah, right?
So, moving on.
I do, like, again, okay, so I feel like officially... done milking that cow.
We have enough cream.
We have enough. We're good.
Because we're gonna churn some butter now.
Yeah, we're gonna churn some butter, and that butter is this whole waterfall water fight. I really like.
It's really cool.
It's really cool. I very much enjoy it.
Oh, Saphira just becomes a dragon.
Full dragon.
Like she goes. This guy she's picking.
She picks up.
She throws them. She dives into the water. She's just snapping out like a angry Loch Ness monster.
Yep, and I like there's smoke coming out of her nose, which is like, oh, I bet she wish she could breathe fire, but she can't do that.
She's waiting for our girl to breathe fire,
right?
One day.
I also like that she's not infallible too. She does get injured, and I do like that. I do like that she is very powerful. She is a very formidable foe. Mm-hmm. She is not infallible.
She can't take out this army on her
own.
Yep,
and I like that.
Yep, her wings especially. Like the membrane of her wings. One of them, Urgles actually gets at one of her haunches.
Yep, the arrows are bruising when they hit their scale. They're enough to bruise, but they don't cause blood. They only get with her wing membranes, you said. She gets, like, scratched by spears. Her nose gets bloodied because they're poking at her when she pokes out. So... yeah, I do like that.
I'm picturing a cat coming up from under the bed and going, da-da-da.
Yeah, I do. It's very much that, yeah.
And so Eragon is trying to, I like these, like searching Arya's memories for her final instructions. And then he remembers the phrase. Yep. But nothing happens.
Yep. And that's like, can you imagine the absolute terror being in that, being like, follow the thing, then you bang on the rock and it's supposed to help and nothing happens, and just being like, are we in the right spot? Like, what the hell? And Eragon insisting, like, he's like, no, this is the right spot. This is the right spot. Mm-hmm. And then freaking
Saphira remembers, wait, we're
on the wrong side of the lake. And it's like, fuck, we're on the wrong side.
And like, I've seen Arya's memories through you, and I just realized that this isn't the right place.
Yep.
So essentially what they realize is they need to go through the waterfall to get to the other side of the lake.
Yeah.
That, I don't understand how they know they can get to the other side of the lake through the fall.
I'm wondering if the fall was placed in such that they had to...
Oh, is it like you go behind the falls and then you'll follow the parameter to get to the other side of the lake?
That's what I'm kind of thinking.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then I think they were being cut off a little bit, so they had to go through the water to get to the side that they needed to go through. Yeah. Something like that.
Because they had no idea there were caverns behind the falls.
Yes, they have no idea.
Yeah. Okay, that makes more sense, because I was trying to figure out, like, how do you know, other side of the lake, how just getting around the falls, but if it's enough, you can walk behind the falls to get, like, around the perimeter? Yep. Okay, that makes more sense. Okay.
Yep.
And it's not great. There's Urgles right behind them.
They're literally, like, they talk about having them be, like, real close, and then right before Eragon jumps in, he can hear them right behind him, and then he jumps in. I always think it's really funny that when he says, with a fierce war cry, he leapt after Murtagh.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, roar, jumps in the water.
Yeah, okay, so... All right, so here's one of the classic. Darien needs some help figuring out what's happening.
Yes.
They put Arya on Saphira's back.
Yes.
She flies across the lake.
Yep.
Eragon uses the ancient language to tell the horses they do need to swim through the water. Okay, so they're swimming. They're not going...
They're going... They have to get past the waterfall. So they need to swim, but they need to get past the waterfall.
Yeah. So he gets the horses to swim... Murtagh jumps after him. Eragon jumps after him. Hold on, I'm reading it.
Nope, you're good.
The problem is, okay, so everyone's swimming except Saphira, who flew.
Oh, sorry. No, finish the thought, and then there is something that I want to mention.
Yeah,
that happens prior to this.
The thing I think I'm having a hard time grasping is like the waterfall. I'm just seeing it in my head, and I'm sorry. I know this is probably very annoying to listeners. This is not the first time we've had to do this, really. And the waterfall is literally pressing him to the bottom. Like, he can't get
the current.
Up. And then someone reaches in and is able to pull him out of the water.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I understand. Someone jumped in and swam and grabbed Eragon and then swam the rest of the way across the lake.
Yeah.
They aren't behind the waterfall.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think what happens was Eragon's... Okay, sorry, I should have mentioned this. Eragon, Saphira, and Murtagh and the horses were behind the waterfall. And in order to get... Or is the cavern behind the waterfall?
I thought the cavern was behind the waterfall. It's not, though. Because suddenly a strong hand grabbed the back of his tunic and dragged him through the water. His rescuers sliced through the lake with quick, short strokes. Eragon hoped it was Murtagh and not an Urgle. They surfaced and stumbled onto a pebbly beach.
Yeah, because I think what happens is the party, Eragon's party, thought they needed to be behind the waterfall. So they went and they were behind the waterfall. And so to get out from behind the waterfall, they had to go swim. That's what my image was.
That's what I thought so too, and that's what it was confusing me. I don't think so. I think they just dove into the water to try to cut across. So we have the lake.
We're getting some Foley work here.
Okay. So here's the lake.
Yeah.
And then they got, it's a waterfall. It's a big old waterfall.
Yep.
And they are here.
Yep.
Blocked in by the river that's probably letting out into the lake or whatever. Yep. And then the Urgles are here and they're blocking them, and they're right next to where the falls are going in. And they can't go behind the falls because that's not how a waterfall actually works.
Yeah.
They need to go across the lake.
Yeah.
So Saphira can fly.
Yep.
Murtagh, Eragon, and the horses have to swim.
Yep.
And the reason that they're going through the falls, they're not going through like a curtain. They're going through as if you were like walking not like if you imagine if you were on a stage.
Yeah.
And you walked through the curtains and got onto the audience and see you. But what if instead of that, you crossed from one side of the stage to the other, pushing through the curtain material?
Yeah.
I think that's what through the falls means.
Yeah,
they aren't going behind the waterfall, which is what was confusing me. They're trying to cut across, and they're so close to the falls that it's dragging Eragon down. So when the dwarf grabs Eragon, he swims the rest of the way, and now they're on the beach on the other side.
Yes.
They're on the wrong side of the falls.
Yes.
Thank you for your patience, dear listeners. I'm sure most of you were like, we understand. I'm like, but I don't.
Yep.
And
but oh, sorry, we're
right. So they're on the other side of the lake, and the Urgles are trying to rush them, but there are a bunch of archers that are keeping them from being able to do so.
Yep. And then before we go into the next stop after that, I do want to say is as they are, trying to get through the wall, and a cull. Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about the cull.
We did in the last chapter.
Did they?
We talked about how they're... Yes, we did.
They're the bigger, yes. Okay,
we were trying to figure out whether they were a separate species entirely or just
like
the Olympian class of
Urgles.
Yeah,
that's right. Okay, yeah, so when a cull rushes up on them, and Murtagh saves Eragon again by throwing his sword and killing the cull.
He throws his sword. Speaking of throwing her sword.
Yeah, so, the fact that he throws his only weapon... kills it, and then before another cull could attack, Murtagh dashed forward and yanked his sword out of the body. So it's like he gets it. But you also threw the only weapon that you could use to defend yourself. Yeah. And he's still protecting Eragon. And I want to shake him. And I'm like, Eragon!
And just
you have a good friend!
Every time Murtagh has saved
Eragon's life.
At risk to himself.
To his own, yep.
Risk to himself. Because someone who's being shady could also save your life a bunch of times, and then turns out they were... But it's very different when it's So
yep. And I will say, I do think the reason why the horses and Murtagh could get through the falls when Eragon couldn't and he needed help is because Eragon is using magic on top of being super exhausted.
Yes, he does. He broke a bunch of their legs.
Yes. Yeah. And he ends up so it's everyone's super exhausted. Eragon is more exhausted because he has been using magic this whole time.
This is still with he just had done the fog.
Yep,
this
just
isn't a new
fog.
day.
Yeah,
he has not had a long rest.
He's not had a long rest.
His spell slots depleted. His HP low.
Yep. So yeah,
his damage level 3.
That's where I'm thinking too. I'm and I again applaud Paolini for keeping so good. Paolini isn't telling us, oh, Eragon's exhausted because he did all this. He's like, no,
you were there.
You were there. This is why he can't do this is because he's far more exhausted than everyone's exhausted, but Eragon is a little more exhausted because of magic.
Yeah, because of magic. And that actually makes a lot of sense. Thank you for highlighting that, Luce. I totally kind of spaced on but I didn't even think about why is Eragon having a hard time and no one else is. I just was Eragon's having a hard time because waterfall. But you're right, no one else did.
Yep.
And someone went in and so they get out. A dwarf has saved him, and the dwarf.
I love the dwarf.
I'm very into this guy already because when he saves him, he's like, "What were you thinking?" He curses in some language. What were they thinking? You would have drowned.
Yep.
And he looks cool. Armor, muscular arms, warhammer.
He's built like a shit brick house. Absolutely. And I freaking love. I will say, again, no spoilers, but I love the dwarves in this book series.
Cool.
They're so cool.
He looked longingly at the fighting and said, "Brussel, but I wish I could join them."
Yep, I want. It's and then Eragon's like, "A dwarf."
Oh wow, okay, cool. Then he turns around and he sees the rest of these folks who I feel we could reasonably assume are the Varden.
Varden, I think so.
They don't say it, but let's not.
They're going to see the Varden. Suddenly, there's a bunch of people there. Yes, 2 and 2 together.
They never actually say it in the end of the chapter, but I'm not just to save words. We're yes, it's the Varden.
It's the Varden. Yeah.
And the thing about it is, so it's okay. They are right because they revealed a 12-foot thick stone doors had opened in the cliff, revealing a broad tunnel nearly 30 feet deep that burrowed its way into the mysterious depths of the mountain. Dwarfs. Saphira and Murtagh stood by the tunnel, surrounded by a grim mixture of men and dwarves. At Murtagh's elbow was a bald, beardless man dressed in a purple and golden robes. He was taller than all the other humans, and he was holding a dagger to Murtagh's throat.
Yep. For me, it was like instantly like, I don't know if I like this guy. Again, I could be a little biased. But also, I think about wearing purple and gold. I'm like, who the fuck do you think you are?
I was told this is the Resistance, and you're in purple and gold. The most like royal regalia colors.
That just made me mad. And also, it's like first time readers is like, and that could be a little biased on me. Especially like he's holding a dagger to Murtagh's throat, and I'm like, I don't like
this man.
Yeah, but the big thing is it's like, is he the leader? Like, he's wearing purple and gold, and people seem to be listening to him.
Yeah.
And so it's like he could be the leader. Like, first-time readers, like, that could be the leader. But either way, it's like, oh no, is this leader not good? Because he is, like, threatening to kill Murtagh if Eragon, like, breathes in the wrong direction.
Yeah, Eragon starts to reach for magic to disarm him, and he literally says, stop. If you use magic, I'll kill your lovely friend here, who was so kind to mention you're a writer. Don't think I won't know if you're drawing upon it. You can't hide anything from me. Eragon tried to speak, but the man snarled and pressed the dagger harder against Murtagh's throat.
Yep, and then he goes, like, none of that. If you say or do anything I don't tell you to, he will die. Now everyone inside.
And this is, like, Murtagh's worst fears.
Yeah, it's like, Murtagh's like, this is what I didn't want happening in any way, shape, or form, but cool.
Except... It doesn't even sound... We don't know. It doesn't even sound like it's because he's Murtagh.
Yeah.
He's just being used to fuck with Eragon.
Yep, at this point, yep.
Like, your friend here. Okay, let's talk about lovely friend here.
Oh, yeah.
Do we want to talk about queer coding your villains again, Palini?
Yeah. Possibly. I don't know, because it's like, we can cut this, but I don't know if, like, the use of that language would be queer coding.
Well,
it kind of is.
No, because lovely,
it kind of is a nod.
Lovely, he's describing Murtagh as lovely.
Lovely, yeah.
And honestly, I had to reread it to be like, wait, is he threatening Arya?
I thought that too. I honestly did. When he read that, I did think he was threatening Arya. And then I had to remember, no, he's holding a dagger to Murtagh's throat.
So he's calling which we know. I think he's described as, like, Murtagh has been described as being attractive.
Yeah.
Like, I think Eragon has, like, clocked that. So, but here's the thing. That is very specific verbiage that is meant to communicate something about the speaker.
Yeah.
And because if he was, like, again, we thought it was Arya.
Yeah.
This is pretty common. He could have just said, your friend here.
Yep.
Your dangerous friend here.
And that's, for me, like, it's like, I am wondering if this character knows who Murtagh is, I feel like that could have been said sarcastically. Be like, your lovely friend here, Morzan's son, your lovely... But I don't.
We would have italicized because we do emphasis on words, that gets italicized.
Yeah, and this is not, and this isn't italicized. Yeah, so that would be like my only thing. I'm like, maybe
wearing
that.
The very fluffy regalia, the purple and gold, like described as.
I don't know if you want to keep this, but I did keep thinking eunuch because he's described as hairless, bald, no beard, and I was just like, is this supposed to be?
It very much reads as we are meant to recognize this man does not fit into the traditional masculine expectations.
Absolutely.
And so and we talked about this way back when the Shade mentions how he's not tempted by Arya's beauty.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. It's like, okay, we have some nods that are reading our villains. Again, maybe this guy turns out to be super cool and he's just like, I'm just really dedicated to the Varden. Y'all showed up. There were Urgals on your back. Like, I was just trying to control the situation. Like, maybe he's like a super cool dude, actually.
Yeah.
But, like, do I think so? No. Here's the twist, though. Is in the year 2024, this dude shows up, calls Murtagh lovely, and then turns out to be, like, a cool dude. This is my favorite character of all time. Like, instantly, I'm like, because that is a way to, because there's something you come up, I feel like not quite as much as I did 5 years ago, but in conversations about how to communicate queerness in a character, and specifically in early has-been hotels conversations when people really wanted to list like Alistair as being a great representation of like ace characters.
Yeah.
Me, who is ace, arguing that like no, because we don't know that. There's nothing in the text.
In the one
thing
show,
and
one video.
The one like the pilot on YouTube that actually is like, oh well, Angel Dust offers to give him oral sex and he just laughs him off. And I'm like, that doesn't mean a character's ace.
Yeah.
It could mean a lot of things. It's a power play. Like it doesn't mean that. You only know the character is meant to be ace because the creator has talked about it on live streams.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
But that is not what canon means.
Yeah.
Canon means it happens in the canon materials.
Yep.
And then you'd have people saying, well, what is he supposed to do? Just like say, hi, I'm ace? Like that's not, gay people don't just talk about being gay all the time. First of all, yes, we do.
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Yes,
all
we
the
do.
time.
Talk
Every
about
opportunity
it.
we
talk
have.
About being bisexual.
Yes,
absolutely.
all the time. I can't even sit straight. Well, yeah, I'm ace. I'm too gay for this shit.
Yep.
But also, there are ways to communicate in subtext, in language, in like queer coding. Literally that. Like, and queer coding isn't necessarily bad because when we code characters in certain ways, it is bad when you're using it in replacement for any kind of representation whatsoever, or when your villains are always the queers.
Yeah.
That's when it sucks.
That's when it's bad.
But you introduce a character and they call a character of their same gender lovely. There's the gay. There it is, right there. Or they have lines like that. That isn't inherently what I'm not saying that never ever ever can you have a villain mention being gay. Like you can't have queer characters as villainous. Like that is not what I am saying. And in fact, we should. Everyone should be allowed to be a villain. Honestly, queer folks have more reason that they could be villains than a lot of other folks. But the thing I'm clocking is much like when we clock with the Urgles, who is a monster? Yeah, right?
Monster,
and who
monstrous.
isn't? When have we seen anything that could be identified as not adhering to a traditional expectation of specifically manhood and masculinity and gender norms? And we've seen that with the Shade, and we've seen it with this guy in referring to Murtagh as being lovely.
Yep.
And
they also talk about they just mentioned him being really tall, which also matches. We find out the Shade is also very tall. Yes. So we do have very similars between the two characters. Absolutely. Yeah. So and then it closes like he asks Saphira, what do we do? And she just says, go with them and hope that we live. Yep. Well, okay, before we leave that, real quick, when he mentions when this tall dude is like, your friend was so kind to mention that you're a writer. And I'm like, what gave it away, my guy?
The dragon?
Gestures at Saphira.
Gestures at dragon?
Like a bright blue dragon. How'd you miss, bud?
To be fair, there is an elf tied to her back, so maybe the elf is the writer.
And it's
Murtagh showed up
Murtagh
first.
is also there.
The
yeah.
So anyone could, but he's like, oh, he mentioned you, not we're the writer. But a writer, as if you were surprised that there's a writer. There's a dragon.
Or maybe the dragon's just there for shits and giggles. It doesn't have a writer. I don't know.
She's a dragon. I'm curious as to, in my head I was trying to figure out like how would that have come up in such a short period of time. Yeah. And I bet it was probably Murtagh trying to get them, you have to let me go back. He's drowning. We have to save him. We have to save him. And he's trying to figure out, because they're probably not going to let him. They don't trust him. And they maybe know, we don't know if they recognize Murtagh yet or not. Yeah. But regardless, he's probably trying to get them to let him go save Eragon. Yeah. Again. Yep. And so he probably told them he's the writer.
He's the writer, yeah.
To tell them that's why you need to save him. He's important to you. Because he would know. Like, Murtagh's smart.
Murtagh would know.
The Varden would love to have the writer on their side under their control. Yes. So he probably told them he's a writer. He's her right. He probably said he's her writer. And pointed at Saphira. Yep. Like, to get, and maybe Saphira was freaking out too. And it's like, you have to save him. He's her writer. Yeah. And so that's what I think that conversation. I don't know if they tell us what happened there. Yeah. But that's what in my head I was trying to figure out, like, why would that even come up?
I think that holds a lot.
Murtagh trying to save Eragon's life again.
Yep.
And that's the end of the chapter. They go into the mystere. They go into the mountain.
Yep. And then I like the last two lines is they were trapped inside, but were they any safer?
Out of the frying pan and into the fire, it really feels like. Not exactly the warm welcome
that they want. And it's also, you can't really blame the Varden either if they're a little sus, because they did lead a legion of coal. I guess. Yeah,
but the dragons here.
The it's kind of, it's all up in the air.
I think that's the other thing. It's like, the dwarf guy seemed like he saved Eragon, so we're already like, we like you.
We like
and
him.
He was
a
like,
lot.
I kind of want to get out there and rumble.
And that's like, I like you a lot.
So I get them being like, we're kind of like grim and uncertain, but like the bald dude being specifically like threatening Murtagh to this extent and not even letting Eragon speak.
Yeah.
Reads as troubling.
Yes.
Like,
and
this
it's also
is going to be more difficult this is not a place where we're gonna get, like, there, yeah.
I also think, like, it also shows just how powerful this character is, because if Eragon was just reaching for the magic, and he's like, none of that, he could just sense it, and then also the moment Eragon tries to open his mouth, which is, like, he talks about when Eragon was drowning, he can't speak the words to save his life, like, he knows to speak is to speak magic.
Yeah.
And so this character knows, like, he's
I can't let you say a
and
word.
it could be like he's super magical too, just to be inherently attuned to that.
So
like we don't really know at this point, but it's like this character means business. Like,
yeah, and that's something I'm actually really reflecting on. It's like, why did I decide as a reader I trust the dwarf, I don't trust this guy?
Yeah.
And there is something distinct about how his voice is sharp and dangerous. He's very not just that he's threatening Murtagh.
Yeah.
Because Arya attacked Eragon in her mind.
Yeah.
And we recognize that was defense.
Yes.
So why doesn't it feel like this guy is trying to defend or protect himself and the Varden? And I think that's just an interesting, like, what is it about the writing here that has communicated these things to me as a reader? And it's like, to be fair, I don't remember this guy at all. Like, I have no idea who this person is. Like, I have not read these books in so long. I remember strong beats, but I don't remember details. So for real, y'all, when I'm, like, making these comments, I legit don't know this man.
I do. I'm trying very hard not to approach this in a very biased way, but I have agreed and acknowledged that I am a bit biased with him. I'm like, who the fuck do you think you are, you asshole?
Yeah. but even still, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, I know I'm right because Lucy agrees with me. But that still does communicate that there's something in the writing of the way the dwarf was written versus the way this dude is being written.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you could have a character be like, nope, none of that.
You know what? I actually just thought about this. What could make us more lenient towards the dwarf than this guy is the dwarf has saved Eragon, and this character is threatening, like, under death, Eragon and Murtagh. Yeah. Whereas this character just saved a life. This one is threatening to take a life.
Yeah,
so
not
that
could be a life, but we got a little bit of his character when he was looking out at a fight and really wanting to get on the brawl.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking we could have the same thing, but if this dude's demeanor was different, if he looked nervous, if he looked worried, if he looked concerned, it is the fact that he seems completely unbothered phased by the fact that he is threatening Murtagh and Eragon's life. Yep. Like, I think that's what it is.
Like, it's also like he's not hesitating. He's like, I will end you, and feel nothing about it. Like, that's the vibe he's giving off.
Yeah, it's not like what you said, like we were talking about earlier, like maybe they are just trying to, like, gain control and figure out what's going on and they don't trust him yet. But the fact that this character is so comfortable threatening their lives,
absolutely, yes.
I think that's what the difference is.
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
And that's, and I think that's strong writing, because I think we instantly we're introduced to two characters, we don't know their names, but we instantly feel two very, very different things about them. And that's impressive.
Yes, I agree.
So for our critiques at the top of the chapter of feeling like Saphira and Eragon's reaction are not quite in believable character and are meant more to serve something to communicate to us about the themes of the story, this at the end was, I think, very well written to communicate ideas of these characters and how we are meant to feel about them very quickly.
Yep, I agree.
So, what is our writing takeaway?
If your character, I'm trying to remember anything we didn't say before.
That's fine. We can reiterate the thing we said.
Because so I don't know if we've said this one before, but I'm gonna suggest writing takeaway is going to be, if you are going to, like, drop a bomb, like a nuclear bomb on your characters, big old surprise twist kind of thing, have your character, like, it's easy to have your characters react in a way that is like, oh my god, we don't trust you, you're terrible, you're awful, but, like, trying to lean into a way that would, like, not you, the author, wants your audience to feel, but you as the character wants you to feel.
Yeah. How...
But as the...
distinguish between how the character would feel and how you want your audience to feel.
Yes.
I like that. I think that's really interesting. Yeah, I think that's... Yeah, I like that a lot.
Because I catch myself writing something in a way that I'm like, oh, I want my audience to feel like this, so my characters react in that way. And I'm like, that's not how my characters will react. Yeah. So I have to go back through and rewrite whatever I wrote.
Yeah, and try to... Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I think that's a great one. Yeah. For our homework... Since I talked about queer-coded villains, I would love to hear your queer-coded villains, dear listeners. And yeah, that's essentially who's your favorite Disney villain.
Who's your favorite
Disney doesn't have a monopoly on queer-coded villains. Basically, anytime Vincent Price showed up, you had a queer-coded villain. But if you're like, I don't know any, I promise you know several, actually, dear listener. Go look at your favorite Disney movie. I bet there's quite a few. Favorite Disney Renaissance film, they're all there. Oh, okay. We got a couple thoughts on maps. So I want to share those a little bit. Priscilla PKP said that their favorite maps were of Resteros and Essos. Essos. Nice. I'm not familiar with that one, but awesome.
Yep, awesome.
A plus cast on Instagram told us that Eragon was their favorite because it's easy to navigate yet complex as well.
Yep. I'll fully agree with that one.
And then... ZJW said, I know you asked for our favorite fantasy maps, but I want to mention my least favorite fantasy map, which is, like, to be clear, always welcome.
Fair.
Like,
yeah,
we're always allowed to do the inverse, because I think we try to be very positive and talk a lot about, like, well, what's your favorite? What's this thing? Something that makes us excited to talk about. But going the inverse and being like, this is a thing I really hated is not being negative, I feel like, in any way. Because I think, like, I think I've said before, we can learn just as much how to create from the things we didn't like than the things we do, as long as I think we're critical and identifying why we didn't like it.
Yep.
And this commenter is very, like, articulating why they didn't like it. So their least favorite is The Priory of the Orange Tree. Is one of my favorite books. It has a fantastic world building, characters, dragons, etc. Unfortunately, the map is basically unusable. The labels are unhelpful. It doesn't orient the reader properly at all. It's hard to explain just how bad it is because it's very pretty, but it doesn't aid the reader in understanding the world at all. And like, yeah, that kind of defeats the purpose of the map. If like we reference the map in this episode to be like, what's it? Urbane? Great. Like we've done it more and more as the story goes on. And then it's been a while since we recorded, so we have a ton. We will obviously explore more of these in later episodes. So if we haven't addressed it, we're not ignoring you. But I do want to shout out Curtis Moore. Yes, we do have a favorite listeners. It's Curtis. I'm so sorry to be the one to tell you this. But podcasters have favorite listeners. And currently, it's Curtis.
Curtis is great.
Curtis is great. I want to share, Curtis shared one of their geodes with us.
Oh, yes.
And this is from a while ago.
Yeah.
But they got to present at their local convention.
Yes.
Called Elko PopCon back in early August. And that's super cool.
That's
Congratulations,
very cool. Yeah,
Curtis.
That's really, really, really cool.
I believe the image they shared with me was the post for Leveling of Conflict in Fiction, Examining and Designing Multifaceted Conflict. Cool. And I believe that is what Curtis presented. Curtis, if it's not, absolutely let me know so I can clarify.
Yeah.
But that's super cool. Thank you so much. Curtis also shared a lot of thoughts about horses, and I'm going to share those in a later episode.
Yes.
But Lucy has a hard out. She's got, like I said, big D&D campaign.
I got big D&D campaign
so we've got to wrap it. But please, absolutely let us know favorite queer-coded villains.
Yes.
Or, favorite explicitly queer villains.
Yeah.
We can play in this space,
we can
guys.
go in that.
Absolutely. The gays don't have to be secret about it. All right. Well, we'll see what happens next. I'm so worried about Murtagh.
Yes.
I'm so worried about
Me
Murtagh.
Too.
It's gonna be fine.
It'll be fine, hopefully.
Lucy, tell me he'll be fine.
He'll be fine.
Why are you lying to me, Lucy? All right. Well, until next time, she's Lucy Hart.
And she's Darien Smart.
And this is Eragon.
And back again.